true name of my power is one for all.
It's time you learned.
What's going on, everybody? Sean Ross here, and welcome back, guys, to my review on My Hero Academia manga chapter 192, entitled The Todoroki Household. And we have some interesting developments going down within this chapter. This is not an action-oriented chapter. We actually have a lot of conversations mainly taking place within the Todoroki family with Endeavor, Shoto, Fuyumi, and Natsuo. So we have a lot to talk about just with the Todoroki family dynamic as a whole within this chapter. There is stuff being revealed about Hawks that we will also talk about. But that ending cliffhanger of Deku having dreams and learning more about the mystery behind One for All, that right there, that cliffhanger has me very excited for next chapter, because I don't think I am the only one that is getting heavy Avatar The Last Airbender vibes, where he's seeing the past lives of the One for All users, and then he's seeing All for One going up against his brother. This has me very excited because Avatar The Last Airbender is one of my favorite series. I adore that series to death, and I know for a fact Horikoshi has never seen the series at all, and even during Comic-Con when he was at the panels, someone asked him about the connection between Todoroki and Zuko, you know, since they have the scar, the daddy issues, and all that stuff, and he simply said, you know, that's a funny coincidence because Horikoshi has never seen the show. So if we are just getting inklings of that within My Hero Academia, to where Deku is about to tap into and possibly learn more about the history of One for All, count me in 100%, because I cannot wait to see the developments that we get next chapter. But before we dive into the content of this chapter, there are two other things that we do have to talk about. The fact that My Hero Academia was on the cover of Weekly Shonen Jump this week, and that we also got a color spread going along with this chapter that is celebrating the 4 years of serialization for MHA. So the first thing to dive into is with the cover, where we see a very happy as can be Deku smiling back at the reader, holding up the peace sign. He's got popcorn and drinks in his hand, and we see a young All Might right behind him. And this just gets me hyped for when this movie is going to come out, because I believe the English dub is going to be premiering late September in the US. So I need to find a local movie theater somewhere near me that will be airing it. But I'm just hyped for when this movie comes out, because I just want to sit back, relax, and enjoy the spectacle of the first ever My Hero Academia movie. But I gotta admit, I am a bit envious of all the people that got the early screening at Anime Expo. I'm happy for them, but I'm very envious at the same time. So that is everything to do with the cover of Weekly Shonen Jump. But then we also got the celebration, the 4 years of serialization for My Hero Academia with this color page. But I honestly could not think of a better way to celebrate alongside Horikoshi than to bring back the Party on Glasses, because this is a big thing to celebrate for. Horikoshi has been in Weekly Shonen Jump for 4 years with My Hero Academia, and the fan base just continues to grow. Its popularity is skyrocketing, and I'm just very excited to see what the 5th year of serialization is going to bring for MHA, and hopefully later on down the road, what 10 years for My Hero Academia is going to mean for this overall story. So I am very happy for Horikoshi making it 4 years. But talking about the design of this color spread, I like the color scheme. I like the orange and the green in the suit design for the students. Though I do kind of wish that we had more students in here, maybe Ashido, maybe having Ida, Kaminari, Kirishima, maybe even Tokoyami, but I'm content with seeing Deku, Ochiko, Todoroki, Momo, Sue, Bakugo, and Jiro. But if you do look closely, you can see Toru right in between Momo and Todoroki. She is somewhere in here, but I just love the fact that there's that gigantic gap, mainly made for the spine for when it's in the magazine. But just picture Toru right in the middle right there. And then to the right, we also see All Might and Aizawa. And I really do like the inclusion of Endeavor and Hawks. We actually get to see the color design for Hawks. He actually has red wings. And so I just love the overall design of this. And besides the fact that this is celebrating the 4th year of serialization, this is also the announcement of a new character popularity poll, and I'm excited to see who is going to make it into the top 10. But all I have to say is this: Japan. If one person definitely has to make it in to the top 10, please, it has to be Mirio. Any other character I am fine with being in the top 10, but best boy Mirio has to be in the top 10. Japan, make it happen. But now with those two chapters done and out of the way with, let's dive into the actual content of chapter 192, because we pick up 2 days after the fight between Endeavor and High End. We see construction workers coming into the area, moving around the debris. Other pro heroes are lending a helping hand, and they are doing this while Endeavor is making a full recovery in the hospital, being visited by Recovery Girl, getting gigantic smooches, but also receiving some Pez from her Kamui Woods Pez dispenser. That was a nice little callback to the earlier chapters, but through this recovery process, Endeavor was able to keep his left eye, but now he has this gigantic scar going down the left side of his face. And it makes him look more badass, definitely more badass, but this now adds more similarities between Endeavor and Shoto. But this scar for Endeavor is going to be a constant reminder for him. Every time he looks into the mirror, not only will it remind him of his fight with the Nomu High End, but it's also going to remind him of the man that he used to be, the demons in his closet, but it's also going to push him forward on his path of redemption that he is trying to go on, trying to become a better hero and to become a better man. So I like the fact that this is a physical reminder for Endeavor to constantly keep moving forward. So with all of that, he does eventually get discharged from the hospital, and we come to see Hawks escorting him from the taxis, most likely to the train station. But this conversation taking place between Hawks and Endeavor, I absolutely love, because there are undertones when Hawks is talking with Endeavor that only make sense once you understand that he is the one that set up everything. The fact that Hawks is a double agent and he's apologizing to Endeavor by saying, "Man, I'm sorry about your injuries. It's all my fault." And Endeavor's like, "Don't act so noble. This is all my fault. These are my injuries. They are my responsibility. I should have been more on guard when fighting that Nomu." But this is true because it is Hawks' fault. He is the double agent. He was working with Dabi to set up this fight between Endeavor and High End. It happened a day sooner, but yeah, these injuries technically are Hawks' fault. But I love the fact that we get to see Hawks' honest thoughts throughout this conversation, because Endeavor is beginning to ask questions about how suspicious this entire situation was with the high-end Nomu. How come it appeared out of nowhere as you suddenly approached me about looking into said Nomu rumors? The entire situation does seem very strange, but Hawks is just thinking to himself, he's like, "Damn it, Endeavor, stop thinking about this, stop asking questions, you are killing me right now." So in order to kind of sway the conversation in a different direction, Hawks ends up stating, like, maybe we just attracted so much attention helping the civilians earlier that day. I mean, we are the #1 and #2 pro heroes. We stick out like sore thumbs. So I like the fact that he brought that up, but then in his mind, Hawks ends up stating that he deliberately had them do that day in order to bring it up during this conversation. That right there is a smart move by Hawks. He is thinking 2 to 3 steps ahead, and he needs to be doing that as he's moving forward as a double agent, trying to fool the League of Villains, but also trying to fool Endeavor in this moment as well. And if Endeavor does eventually find out about this, he is going to be super pissed. Like, there's no doubt about that. But until that time comes, he's still going to worry about Hawks because he is the #2 pro hero. And as they end up separating, Endeavor ends up telling him, if you're going to continue with this investigation, make sure you have another hero by your side, because if you run into another one of those Nomus, you are going to have a fight on your hands. And Hawks looks at him and he's surprised. He's like, "Whoa, Endeavor, I didn't know you cared that much about me. I didn't know you were so considerate." And then in the blink of an eye, Endeavor goes back to his angry self where he basically yells back at Hawks and he's like, "You want to get burned?" So I liked having that little moment by the ending of this section, but we do also come to learn that Hawks' wings are in fact growing back, and within the next day or two, he will be back at 100%. So we end up seeing Endeavor leaving Hawks, going back to his home to meet with his family. But then this is the section where we dive into the flashbacks with Hawks' character, and we actually come to see how he actually started in becoming a pro hero. Hawks was kind of forced into the pro-hero lifestyle at a very young age. And even though this flashback is really short, the feelings that I am getting from this flashback is that Hawks, I don't think, wanted to become a pro-hero when he was that young. We can tell that he admired pro-heroes. He's holding an action figure of Endeavor, which is a really nice touch that Horikoshi threw in there, but this seems more like it was forced upon him than something that he actually wanted to pursue, because we come to see that the child Hawks ended up saving a lot of people from a major car incident, and then all the survivors started talking about this child that saved them. And then all of these officials started seeking him out, and once they found him, they were basically saying, this child has an amazing quirk, he's got immense talent, he simply must become a hero. And the word must in that sentence is bolded. So I view this as like they kind of forced this responsibility onto Hawks because he had such great talent and a powerful quirk. He needed to go down this path in becoming a hero, but I don't think that really matches with his personality that we have seen, and this could factor in to this goal that he has of making sure that all the pro heroes have more free time than they know what to do with, because I don't think Hawks had free time in his childhood years, because at 22, he's the #2 pro hero. He's been working nonstop, being molded into becoming a pro hero. I don't think he had free time. I do not think he had a childhood, so it makes a lot of sense that his dream for everybody else is to make sure that they have free time, something he did not have. But now I have reached the main section of this chapter dealing with the Todoroki family. And this was a good section that we got within this chapter. I like what was said on both fronts, and we are seeing the journey, the long journey that Endeavor is going to be going on with this redemption arc. There are going to be hurdles in his way, and it's not just snap your fingers and everything's going to go back to normal and the Todoroki family is just going to be a happy family once again. This is going to take time because there's been a lot of trauma built into this family over the years, and I love the fact that Horikoshi is emphasizing with this section, this is going to take a while for the entire family to forgive Endeavor, to where they can look at him and say, you know what? You've made up for the mistakes of your past. Fuyumi right now is really the one person that is trying to get the family back together so that way they can just be a family once again. And I like the fact that we have that one character within this family, because Fuyumi has kind of been the motherly figure ever since Rei was hospitalized. She has been the one taking care of the family. She has stepped into that motherly role. So she is trying everything that she can to make sure that Natsuo, Shoto, Endeavor, everyone is getting along and they can just get back to being the Todoroki family. The only problem with that is there's just too much trauma built up in the past, especially for Natsuo just being silent over the years, but also getting to see what happened to Rei Todoroki, to Shoto Todoroki, and then we finally get the name drop of the older brother, Toya. Now, I know this is going to speculate whether it's Dabi or whether it's not. We don't really have that much information to go on, but I'm glad that we finally got the name drop of the older brother, Toya, which I think for kanji, what I saw online means winter or classical, but I really have nothing to go on right there. But I love the sassy, kind of nonchalant remark from Shoto Todoroki, where he basically looks at his dad and says, huh, nice scar on your face. I love that panel, but I'm really curious, was it sarcastic or was it just the typical nonchalant Shoto Todoroki, oh, I noticed you have something on your face? But the main thing that I loved getting to see during the section actually comes from Natsuo, because he has a lot of built up rage and aggression and a lot of stuff that he wants to say to Endeavor in this moment, and he finally lets loose. He lets Endeavor hear what he has done to the family and that he is not going to forgive him that easily. And I agree with everything that Natsu is saying within this moment. He was one of the few on the sidelines watching the abuse, the fear, and the terror that Endeavor was putting the family under. He saw what he did to his mother, Rei Todoroki. He saw what he did to his younger brother, Shoto Todoroki, and we still don't know what Endeavor did to their big bro, Toya. That right there is a mystery in and of itself, and I'm curious to learn more about that. But this is the prime opportunity for Natsuo to let all the demons out of the closet and push it back in Endeavor's face and let him see the damage that he did to the family. And of course, Endeavor knows all about this. He knows that he messed up hard, and he replies back to Natsuo by saying, I know I messed up. I messed up in the past, but I'm going to atone for my sins moving forward. But within this moment, mere words are not going to sway Natsu. It just pisses him off even more, and he just storms off. Right now, Endeavor needs to prove himself with action. He needs to have action backing up his words that he is willing to change and he's going to atone, and then he can come back to Natsu, proving himself with action backing up his words, and then they can sit down once again, and hopefully later on down the road, they will be able to reconcile. But that is a far ways off, and Endeavor has a long road ahead of him to actually reconnect with Natsuo. But right now, I'm very curious with Todoroki because he says one line during this chapter that I absolutely loved. It's when they're watching the TV, and then we see, you know, Endeavor's #1 fan kind of becoming a meme on social media and the news to where people are making merch about "Can't You See, Kun?" That right there was a very funny moment. But then we see Todoroki looking at the TV and he says, Endeavor the hero, he's amazing. He's remarkable. But I am very curious on the dad, the father you'll become. That right there is a very powerful line. That's my favorite line from this chapter because we are seeing the growth of Endeavor on the hero side, but now he needs to make the growth on the father side. He needs to prove to his children and to his wife that he is atoning and making steps to be a better man, to be a better husband and a father. So this all right now is just swelling within Endeavor's mind. He is flashing back to his conversation with All Might when he saw Todoroki showing his fire to those children, and then he has that flash of Rei Todoroki in her frenzied state, and Endeavor realizes this is going to be a long road, but he's willing to walk it. And then he reflects back to what he said to Natsu, and he's like, I chose the wrong words when I spoke to Natsu just now. This is the start of some great development later on down the road for Endeavor, and I will state it once again. I absolutely love what Horikoshi is doing with Endeavor's character. But now, all that is left is to talk about the final section of this chapter, the exciting cliffhanger to leave us off until next week's chapter 193, and I cannot wait to see what type of content we get next week. We cut away from the Todoroki household and away from Endeavor, and we go back to UA. We see Deku approaching his dorm room, passing Mineta in the hallway. After doing some intense training with One For All, he is beyond exhausted. He collapses on his bed and he goes directly to sleep, but he ends up entering this dream-like state where most of his body is consumed by black smoke and fire, but he is getting clear visions of the previous One For All holders. We see Nana Shimura, even though Deku has no idea who that is, and we see other dudes who we assume to be previous One For All holders, and we even get a Smokey image of All Might, and I believe it's Smokey because he is in fact still alive. He is not dead yet. That is most likely why we see him in that smoky state, but this is the first time Deku is getting clear visions of the previous One For All holders, and we even have a nice flashback panel going back to the sports festival when Deku was fighting Shinzo and had his first glimpse of the previous One For All holders. So that right there should get a lot of people excited, but it's that final double spread page where Deku is getting to witness a fight going down between All For One and his younger brother, who was the first person to hold One For All. Guys, I am not lying when I state I was beyond hyped getting to see these last two pages. These last pages really reminded me of a series that I love and adore, and I own all 3 seasons of it. I am talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is basically Deku entering the Avatar state. It's like when Aang went to go talk to Roku and Kyoshi. I don't think Deku will be talking to the previous One For All holders. I don't see him talking with Nana Shimura or anyone else. I see him just standing there and absorbing all the information that he is going to be learning. But him standing there looking at an All For One with no injuries and no scabs on his face, 100% All For One, standing there, mocking and talking to his little brother, the first holder of One For All. What will we learn next chapter? 193, I cannot wait for you to get here because I am hoping that that chapter is dedicated to all of this. I want nothing else besides this dream sequence with All For One going against One For All for the very first time. Horikoshi, you have me beyond hyped. I love this. I know you don't know or have seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, but when you give me those type of vibes, I absolutely love it. So if Horikoshi, you are watching this, go watch Avatar because it's a great series, and you guys too. If you guys have not seen Avatar, go watch it. But all I can say is next week cannot get here fast enough. So with that, guys, that is my review on chapter 192 for My Hero Academia. But now I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts on this chapter. What were your positives? What were your negatives? What did you think about the Todoroki household scene? And how hyped are you to learn more about One for All and All for One in chapter 193? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below, guys. And if you guys want to talk more about My Hero Academia as the chapters come out week to week, feel free to follow me on Twitter, guys. We have a lot of fun talking on Twitter, and you guys get my early thoughts before the videos go up, so definitely go follow me on Twitter. A link can be found in the description down below. But that's going to do it for me here, guys. So until next week, when we have chapter 193 of My Hero Academia, I'll talk to you guys next time. But remember, go beyond plus ultra.